HM from London, UK. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Mufti, can you give advice to those who use social media? Barakallahu feek.
Wafikum barakallah. We've done lectures on this, khutbahs, 5 minutes of fa'idas. The best advice is اتق الله حيثما كنت وأتبع سيئة الحسنة تمحها وخالق الناس بخلق حسن. Fear Allah wherever you are. You make a mistake, immediately fix it by doing that which is right. And treat the people honorably. So fear Allah on social media, Facebook, Instagram, whatever you're doing, YouTube, whatever it is. Be mindful of what you look at. Be mindful of what you listen to. Be mindful of what you say. Be mindful of what you allow people to say to you. If it's a worldly issue, make sure that you're not looking at no naked people, opposite or same sex. Make sure you're not looking at something that's unbefitting of a Muslim. Make sure that you're not drooling over the worldly life, which many of us we do. We say we have zuhd, right? And the dunya is bad, and Imam Ahmed did this, and Imam Ahmed didn't do that, and he wouldn't need this. But we fantasize about the dunya. And we live in a small, tiny studio type of apartment, and we wish we lived in a grand, gigantic palace with all of the lavish luxuries. So the true zuhd and the foundation of zuhd starts, begins, and ends where? Without question, in the heart. So that's my advice. Be mindful of what you look at on social media. Be mindful of talking about Islam and the deen. Are you sure about this, Akhi? Did you study the issue well? Are you sure about this hadith? Are you sure that's what the Sheikh said? Are you sure that's what the Sheikh meant? Are you sure? And even if you are sure, do you need to say it? Can someone else say it? Can someone else do it? Should you be talking about this and discussing these issues? Do you know who this person is, this mubtadi'? If he walked past you, would you know what he looked like? Sheikh Fulan, the ulama. If the Sheikh walked past you, would you know what he looked like? Would he know what you look like? Be mindful of these things. Talking about people, praising people, and dispraising people, and exaggerating. The best advice I can give with regards to the extremism of praising individuals. And there's no doubt about that on social media. People are extreme. And people are extreme in debasing individuals. Shameless khabith. Shaitan, this, that. The narration of Ali radiallahu anhu, which is not the Prophet's words. It's not an authentic hadith. Rather, it's mawquf. It's a statement of Ali radiallahu anhu. It's not the Prophet's words. He said to love your friend or your companion moderately, for one day they may become your enemy. And hate your enemy moderately, for one day they could become your what? Be mindful of this, what you say. Do you have to say it? Do you have to be involved in the fitna? Imam al-Bukhari rahimahullah. Imam al-Bukhari, Allah, Bukhari. He himself, many narrators of hadith, he wouldn't even talk about. He would say, takallamu fihi. They spoke about him. They spoke about him. He would say, sakatu anhu. They kept silent about him. Fihi nazar. Some issues, some scrutiny. That's all he would say. And that was Imam who? Bukhari. And his rationale was, why do I have to call him a kadhab? Imam Ahmad, Ibn Ma'in, they have stuck out their necks already. They bear that responsibility. And inshallah, Imam Ahmad, Ibn Ma'in, they wouldn't talk about the narrator unless he's clearly what? A liar. But that don't mean I have to say it. Even though he's a liar. And he's a weak narrator, but he said what? I don't want to be involved with it. I don't want no one accusing me on Yawm al-Qiyamah of slandering him. Look at the piety of Imam al-Bukhari. How better the world would be today if some of us implemented a tenth of this piety. You don't have to say something. You don't have to be involved in this fitna. Even if the person is a person of bid'ah. You don't have to be involved in it, ya akhi. So that's my advice. Also, my advice is be mindful of who you listen to and who you watch. Be careful, be selective. All right? And this applies to someone of bid'ah and it applies to someone of ignorance. There's no difference between the two. He shouldn't be talking because he made this mistake and the ulama want from him, whatever, if that's even true. And he should not be talking because you were an English teacher. You never were a student of knowledge. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't know your elbow from your, Say what? Your hamstring. That's what we'll say. Shouldn't be talking, you shouldn't be listening to this person. Or someone that's better. Someone that's more well-grounded. Someone has more age, more experience, etc. There's rules of who you take your knowledge from. There what? There are rules. So be selective, be mindful. If you make a sin, you say something about somebody, and it's unjust, fix it. You were looking at something that you're not supposed to be looking at it, avoid it, stay away from it. And treat the people honorably. Don't gossip, don't backbite, don't be jealous. All of the rules of Islam apply to what? Social media. You can't envy your brother in person. You're not supposed to envy your brother online. You can't lust over a woman that's not your wife or your right-hand possession in person. You can't lust off of her what? Online. You can't be a liar and a gossiper and a backstabber, a shameless cheat. In person, the same applies to what? Online. And many of us are liars and backbiters and gossipers and shameless cheats on social media, Tough guys. Talk about people, refute people, this and that. You see him in person, Assalamu alaikum, get on, Sheikh. His head is moving in his hand. You see him in person, no, brother, I didn't mean that. I just, I thought that. Behind a computer screen is what? You have to be mindful of this. And social media has its virtues, and by law it has its what? Has its vices. And I say from the greatest virtues and vices of social media is that it's given a coward heart. And it's caused a brave man to be a coward. It has caused the coward to be brave. He can talk about an issue and speak about an issue and talk about a person. You, ya akhi, have not studied 1/20th of what this person has studied. He has forgotten more than you've ever will memorize. This person has memorized more books than you have ever have read. And you talk about him because you're behind a computer screen. He wouldn't say anything to him face to face. What did the poet say? What? So if poetry was a house, you'd be what? You'd be evicted. And it caused people who have courage, they're supposed to have courage, supposed to have the proper knowledge, to be silent and meek. Well, Sheikh Fulan, Brother Fulan, the brothers, they spoke about him. Oh, well, I don't want to say anything. It's a musibah. So may Allah Azza wa Jalla protect us from cowardice and protect us from being liars and backstabbers and being slaves of social media. That's my advice and that's my humble advice in brief. Wallahu alam.